Hey, what's up, world? How y'all doing? Welcome to another episode of No Clue. Y'all, as you can see, we're a little short today. Special shout
Real
out to
short.
Doc and Savea. They're both feeling a little under the weather, going through their own respective health challenges. We wish them nothing but love, light, and peace. We're sending it to y'all way. But the show must go on. So we thank y'all for being present. We love that y'all here. As always, we are joined by our girl Arteria. And y'all get another exclusive sneak peek to get the back end of our girl Ricky Z,
Hello, y'all.
production manager
What's up?
extraordinaire. So if you don't know, you do know. You see that we here. We're gonna do what we do. As always, you guys make sure that you like our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitch. Like us. Subscribe to us on Patreon. Show us y'all love. Arteria, what we missing?
Christian
Y'all, we out there. We need y'all. We want to hear from y'all. Send us an email. Give us y'all thoughts. Hit us up at nocludeshow@gmail.com. We are here for y'all. We want to be there for y'all. Hey, Doc, we know. We hope you feel better. Sending you warm vibes. So today, we're going to do things a little bit different. It's going to be a little different, and we're going to roll with it because that's how we like it. And y'all know we're going to do what we do, how we do it. Amen.
Yeah. So what we
All
doing
right.
tonight?
So, yeah, we going all over the place. We hitting all kinds of topics. We're gonna touch on some things. We're gonna make it do what it do. We hope to hear from y'all. So viewers, if you all are out there, send us some things. Let's chat. Let's interact. It's an opportunity for you all to give us some lead. We want to hear from you. So
Looks
let us
like
know
we
how you all
gossiping tonight.
Ooh, ooh. So essentially, we're doing a whole episode of.
Say what?
Of all episode of Say What. so so where y'all want to start? Who want to go
Ooh.
first? What's just burning on your mind?
Look, I know y'all talked about this last episode, but it's still going. It's still going. Actually, it's on the tail end for the most part. But the Will and Jada and Chris Rock, the slap heard around the world.
You think it's the tail end though? I don't think it's the tail end.
You know, the squirrels throwing nets at people. That sounds like you need to go to sleep.
You sound like
Doc,
you need.
you sound like you need to go to bed, Doc. Bless. You know,
Listen, but he not far off. Y'all know. Well, y'all know. Midwest squirrels a little aggressive.
Really?
They not like them. Yeah, they hella aggressive.
So
Like
if I come to the Midwest, I gotta fight a squirrel or two.
you might. I ain't gonna even lie. You might. You might have to.
Okay.
and like squirrels and humidity, or lack of humidity.
They be
It's
all over the place, running around
Okay.
crazy like a road lizard. Like it's bad.
road
Wow.
lizard.
Wow.
Okay,
Okay.
so we mentioned this at the last episode about how the slap at the Oscars between Will slapping Chris Rock. But now, as more information comes out, we know that Will Smith has resigned from the Oscars. He's also been banned from all their events for 10 years. And there's just been a lot of like weird takes on this entire situation. Just, calling Will Smith an abuser. Someone I saw on TikTok compared him to Donald Trump. I'm just like, what is it? This is a reach, y'all. It's a big reach. And then the backlash at Jada. Just the one who had actually did not do anything. She sat there. Um, she might have rolled her eyes, but as far as I know, I haven't seen no footage of her whispering in Will's ear, "Hey, go give him the old one too, real quick, and defend my honor." And I'm very concerned about the way that just folks are just really piling on her. Like they're bringing up all this other stuff that ain't got nothing to do with this particular situation right
Yeah.
here.
But I think most of the backlash for her is coming from. So there's a video that surfaced where she recorded Will in his vulnerable state, and instead of her supporting, because I saw the video, instead of her supporting him, she kind of put him down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's making people look at her in a different light as well. And then they're bringing up this August Alsina stuff again, and like, y'all, come on,
Right.
come on.
It's the and I was listening to another podcast and they had a really good discussion about how like this is a weird tipping point for the Smith family in general because I feel like for the longest time Will and Jada have been like not necessarily the pinnacle of like black love, but at least for like Gen X and younger, they seem like a pretty stable, secure black couple, family, a pretty decent blended family. Because, with the exception of maybe a couple of things, like they seem to be good with his first wife, because you still see his oldest and things, and then when the two youngest, Willow and Jaden, get older, you start seeing things that are just different than what you want to think of for a black family. You know, Jaden's wearing dresses and painting his nails. Willow's cutting her hair off and
all the body art she got now.
Right. So like they're not fitting into this image that we want to have of a black family, and they haven't been filling that role for a while now. It's just a lot more of their business is out in the open.
But you know what? I think that's one of the things that I personally actually enjoyed about them, right, is the diversity and the diverse perspective because of what you said, right? And because of what we know about respectability politics, because of what we know about what we have been instructed and on what it means to be in the public eye. I enjoy the fact that it's something that is not perfect, right? Because we know, especially as Black people in America and Black people with position of status, you have to put on this aura, then this status that everything is okay, that it's always so perfect, and it's not that. And I think it shows a humanistic side of them that we don't get to really see off too often, and rightfully so, right? Because when they do start to show those humanistic sides and those vulnerabilities, it's taken advantage of or it's blown out of proportion, like we see with this entire situation.
Yep. True. True. I'm just ready for it to die down. Give that man a break, because eventually he's going to go into a mental breakdown.
I mean, and then this wouldn't be, and for him, the unfortunate part is there have been other interviews and instances where he's been very transparent and very vulnerable about his emotionality and about his love for his wife and his family and how those things have impacted some of the decisions that he's made. And so to keep, to keep diving that into him, it's totally unfair. It's completely unrenounced. And I think people need to mind their own damn business and get a life.
Honestly.
But that's what people do. They insert themselves in everybody else's drama.
I think that's the biggest thing too. Is just a lot of people they've made this like a self-insert type of situation where they like some folks are feeling triggered and like how this affected them and how this affected their emotions when this is not directly about them. This has nothing to do with them. They just happen to witness it.
Absolutely.
So what do you do about that?
Give that man a break, people.
Yes, will people leave Will alone? No,
Mm-mm.
Please.
no,
No.
they won't.
Nope, not
They
anymore.
they won't, and
They
that's the
won't.
unfortunate part of the whole conversation. They won't.
No, they're gonna find something else. And now people are out digging, finding stuff. So they're gonna continue to find more and more stuff about what's wrong, and it's gonna get crazy.
And I mean, they've been mad disrespectful, like putting up those things like, "You want me to cheat on you again?" And so they go up there and do it. Like it was all kinds of memes and videos. It's hella mad disrespectful. And again, most of it's coming from what us, from
Mm-hmm.
people that look like us, from people
Yeah.
that are in our community, and that's the whole part about it that really makes the whole situation all the more worse because it's always us tearing us down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. That is so true.
And it's
That's so
sad,
true.
honestly. It's very sad to see that. I think I'd like to think that we should be able to appreciate a couple that does something differently, because for the most part, up until the last few years, like we didn't know much about their relationship, and now it's all out in the open, and it's for everyone to judge, and everyone's got their 2 cents, and everyone's a therapist, and just it's a mess.
It's a big mess. So now that we're on this family dynamic of things, let's get into Dwayne Wade. Did y'all see that picture that um, they posted as a family with Gabrielle and the two kids, and the oldest is going through, you know, one,
So,
a girl, and, and,
mm-hmm.
and posted pictures with, I think he had on like she had on like a dress. Maybe I don't know where they were. I don't know if they were going to church or wherever they were going. Had on
Mhm.
heels, and so the girl is 14. Let that girl live. So people were saying she's not old enough to make life decisions like that. She's not old enough to know if she wants to be a girl or a boy, or why is Gabrielle and them allowing her to do that? Did y'all see that picture? Or
I
even
haven't seen that picture,
I haven't.
but I've seen pictures. Like it's like I've seen pictures of what is her name now?
Kavia?
Zai.
Kavia? That
That's the baby.
so
That's Ka-
Zaya.
Right.
yeah. So Zai
Oh yeah.
is the older. Um, and I've seen pictures, and I love how supportive both Gabrielle and Wade are for her, because I'm sure that's not hard. I'm sure it's not easy, because your dad's a big basketball star, and like super manly, athletic, and you feel differently about your body than what it normally presents as, and that had to take a lot of discussion and self reflection for everybody involved, because that's not a difficult thing, and I it's weird to me how people are so upset about it. Like, how can you let her do that? Well, what's the better outcome if they don't?
And here's my take on that. Like, I appreciate and champion them for being so supportive because we don't see that in black families.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that narrative for especially black trans or any other thing that identifies as anything non heterosexual in the African American community. We
Mm-hmm.
don't see that. And the other portion to that is why not let people be who they are? It doesn't impact you. It doesn't impact your household. It doesn't have any determination on you, your life, or anything that you're doing. What it does show is that she is fortunate enough to have parents, unfortunately, that are in the spotlight, but
Right.
fortunate enough to support her through that journey for her to be who it is that she's calling herself to be
Mm-hmm.
without judging her, and she's always included in photos. They're always
Right.
doing things
Yeah.
together. You see Gabrielle
Always
supporting her in those decisions. You see them doing things together. You see Dwayne supporting her in those decisions.
going to Pride and all
And
that
that is
stuff.
very, very integral and it's very, very important in the development of that because what that does is show her healthy relationship. And it teaches her to be a healthier version of herself.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, because she's going to be faced with, unfortunately, with lots of
Mm-hmm.
hate and lots of backlash and lots of misunderstanding. And
Yeah.
people are going to misgender her and they're going to do all of these things that are going to create very negative and unsafe spaces for her. But because she has that foundation at home, she won't be that statistic that may want to consider harming themselves or doing something else because of being free to be who they are.
I applaud them because not only are they accepting her, but and going to pride events, but they are taking the time which we fail to do, educate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
We fall short on educating ourselves on whatever, whether it's the lesbian community or the trans community, whatever. We fall short and we don't we just automatically assume.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we back at the space where we are the ones that's
Hmm.
judging this child. That's a whole
Right.
child.
Mm-hmm. And quite
And
as a kid, like you don't know if that child has gone through medical anything like that. To this is just her being who she is and dressing how she feels, and it's really not hurting anybody. No one.
it's not hurting anybody, and that's exactly
No.
my point. It's none of your business.
It's
It
none of your
doesn't
business.
impact you. It has nothing to do with you. It's
Mm-hmm.
not your child. It has no projecting on anything that you're doing whatsoever. Let her be who she wants to be, and that's the problem that particularly, you know, that I really have with the African American community at large is again, we are the first people to tear something down, especially when we don't understand it. And instead of taking the time to educate ourselves and understand what these things are, why people feel the way that they do, or have a simple conversation or create a platform, we immediately create ignorance and hate.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Absolutely.
allow that to spread like a wildfire. But then when the tables are turned, you expect for me then to be sympathetic to your situation and your need. But,
Mhm.
as a person of color and also as a person of the LGBTQ plus community, you can't expect me to be on bandwagon with you and your things. And when it comes down to the issues that impact other parts of me, and you deliberately display hate, I can't get down with you on that.
Mm-hmm. So that brings me to another story that's somewhat similar. Not in where you are wanting support from the people that you hurt. Um, I don't remember his name exactly, but there was recently a man that was killed by his white girlfriend, black man. I think the girlfriend was big on OnlyFans, social media, stuff like that. He had a big following on Twitter, and the girlfriend
Okay.
stabbed him, and she's claiming self defense, but I don't think she was arrested. If she was arrested, she was immediately let go, and like there's nothing happening at this moment. And so, but right now there's been this someone wants people to rally to get behind them to get things pushing and going, and there's been a lot of focus on black women leading the charge on that. But if you go back through his Twitter account, his Twitter stance, he wasn't a fan of black women. He clowned black women regularly, and you want us to rally behind someone like that. And what I find is crazy is that the burden for black put on black women to lead the charge is when it particularly comes to activism. Um, when we don't get the same respect from the people that want our help. That was it's.
But I don't think. I mean, I've read that and I get that, but I don't even think that's just black women. I think that's just anything that is non heterosexually patriarchal and white, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see that through, which I'm gonna talk about a little bit in the next show, through
Yeah.
the erasure of other communities that have pushed forward things to do those things, to push forward efforts and movements, and they're erased from the historical record. And we're gonna talk about that at the next show, so I'm not gonna dive too deep into that
Mm-hmm.
now. But particularly as it relates to people of color, we're always expected to take the charge because we make the moves.
Mm-hmm.
The historical record shows change does not happen until it happens within our community in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
The irony behind it, though, is while we're making those changes, the only changes that are impacted are those that impact and that white people expect to happen because it benefits them to some degree.
So this story is new to me, so I'm trying to read on it. So it was the Courtney Taylor story.
Mm-hmm. I think she's still out. I think like she got ran out of a restaurant recently because
Yeah,
they're
I saw something.
like, why is she out? Why is she out of jail?
Yeah, she was at a hotel bar and they ran her out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's just I don't know. The world is crazy, y'all. The world's crazy.
So speaking of craziness, and so doubling back around to trans, do you all know that there are bills on the books currently in the Senate and the White House that will prevent transgender youth from accessing life-saving medical care? On top of there being more than 325 pieces of anti-LGBTQ plus legislation that's introduced into the Senate in a handful currently as we speak.
I do now. Shit.
that's new. I do now because I didn't know that.
Mm-mm.
So,
Wow.
with the whole thing that we've seen currently in those trends about, trans girls competing in races and doing those things. So now one major bill would deny trans girls from the ability from playing sports with their aligned identified gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, another bill will prevent transgender youth from accessing life-saving medical care, which I think is deplorable,
Right.
especially in a country where we claim that we value lives, but because somebody is who they are, you would deny them life saving medical care?
Look, and the thing is though, like we can't claim that we care about lives because this whole pandemic has been proof more than anything we don't care about others. We don't care about anyone. We don't care about the least of these in our country, in our communities, from those in the LGBTQ plus community, those in the disabled community. I just
Mhm.
like that. Like when you talk about like not giving someone serious medical care, like I think back to like some of the issues that have arisen from the pandemic for the disabled community.
Mhm.
Like just because they are disabled, that does not mean they or something is different from them about them does not mean that they do not deserve medical care, basic care, life saving care. Like how do you ration that? How do you rationalize that?
But that's the argument too, right? Is that we are the only country that does not believe that healthcare is a human right.
True.
We may ensure that it is not accessible regardless of gender or sexual orientation or identity. However, when you add on that other component to that, that really shows the hateful nature of the country in which we reside in, that claims to be, the epitome, the pinnacle of what the rest of the world should be, but there's these still underlying sexist, patriarchal values and systems that guide the direction. And it also goes to speak to us about to speak to us as a country and how we view those things, because we continually allow these same white, sexist, patriarchal, racist people to govern and make decisions for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we elect them without hesitation time and time again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like so a lot of people now are regretting that vote for Biden.
I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, even in that, right? Even just thinking about it through that lens, it's just it's all about these same things. That's what I'm saying. Like it's still, and I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm talking about some of that stuff on the next show. But it's all about the boys' club,
yeah.
and we pick people that fit into those same categories, that fit into those same images, that fit into those narratives, and we say yes, we want you. The irony, though, is as we talking about and thinking about Biden, people put Kamala out. They count her out. When in fact, look at her credentials, look at her residency, look at what she did, look at how her entire sorority, shout out to Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, look at the push and the move and things that they did because she was on the ballot. Look at the influence that she's had. Look at her being the person in the forefront, taking charge, commanding respect, and always doing it with dignity and class. To
Mm-hmm.
humble and mimic humbly our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama. Again, all of those same strong, integral black women that are educated, that have advanced, that have done all of these things with dignity and class.
Shout out to Katanji Jackson. Was it Katanji Jackson
Yeah.
Brown
Brown,
or Brown Jackson?
Brown Jackson.
Look, the most qualified overly qualified Supreme Court justice that we will have.
And look how they did her.
Awful.
And look how they did her
My
again through a public platform so that the world could see the level of disrespect that you gave this woman.
right. It's just and that just seeing some of the clips from that from that whole thing, it enrages me because you have folks talking about how she's not qualified, and was it Tucker Carlson talking about what was her LSAT scores? And I'm sorry, most of these justices barely finished law school. Most of them haven't even been judged before until now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about her LSAT scores?
Because again,
She did the Harvard, what was it, the Harvard Review? She was an editor for the Harvard Review.
but
She
again,
worked for she worked in the court system. Like what more do you want?
what they wanted was for that
What's the
black
one?
woman not to have that seat.
Right.
That was their goal. And it's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate because, like I said, we've seen it time and time again through the way as these people are going.
Mm-hmm.
When there is a non-melanated person in place, it wasn't that severe. It
No.
isn't this extensive. It wasn't that drawn out. They took everything that they could to embarrass her, and she took everything with grace and pride, even
Mm-hmm.
down to completely, even down to deliberately mispronouncing her name time and time again. She even handled that with grace and class.
Mm-hmm.
She did.
And she shouldn't have
Because
had to.
walk around and say our name wrong. We ready to fight somebody. So
But
she
again,
did.
that's my point though. They wouldn't have done that to somebody who wasn't black and not a black woman. And it
Mm-hmm.
shows the level of respect and understanding of someone that is a black woman because gender matters.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Are we ready for a commercial break, y'all?
Yeah,
Well,
let's go ahead and take this commercial break, regroup, and we'll be back with more
Right. We'll
more
get some back.
more extended. Say what?
Right. All right. We'll be back, y'all. What does it say? I would pay to hear Chip's son during the comedy. No, you don't.
Yeah.
And
She's
we
like,
don't
"No,
refer
you wanna
we
hear
don't
this?"
refer to my son as Trip's son. That is
Oh,
my baby.
Oh.
On this that is my baby. Trip just so happens to be my baby's father.
all the way out the
Okay,
equation.
look, they
Oh,
he may be the fourth of his name. Okay, they may have the
Yes.
same name. That is my baby. Okay,
What?
that is my baby.
you meant that thing, didn't
I
you?
really did. No, for real. That was a clip from an episode of Geeking Out. I co-host that episode every Monday. They were so the backstory on that was on a previous episode. My children's father was on there. They're talking about Star Wars, and Billy Berserker of all folks, shout out to Billy. He was like, "Oh, I would love to hear Trip's son's commentary." Because I was talking about watching the Scream movie, the latest Scream movie. And I was like, Trip? No. No, that's my son. Like, we're on my show. That's my baby. That's not Trip's son. That's my child. But, shout out to him or whatever. But you can watch Geeking Out every Monday on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube.
So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and dive into something that was really heavy on my mind and that I
Okay.
saw at the top of the hour. And I want to talk about Virginia elections GOP official David Dietrich and his resignation for his racist comments. Are y'all aware of that?
No, let me look it up. Go ahead. Talk about it.
Talk about why we
So, so here's the thing. On February 17th, 2021, I'm gonna read the post.
Okay.
He posted this on Facebook. It's titled Military Purge. This situation within the United States military is getting more disgusting and dangerous by the day. First, we have a new Secretary of Defense, retired four-star General Lloyd Austin, standing down the military to ferret out quote unquote white nationalists. In other words, he wants to remove conservative, freedom loving Americans from the roles. And now we have the appointment of a retired three-star general, Russell Honoré, by Nancy Pelosi to review quote unquote security infrastructure of Capitol Hill. To listen to this guy, you would think he was a black nationalist. These so called quote leaders are so vile and racist, there's no way to describe them other than in terms their own people understand. They are nothing more than dirty, stinking niggers. We are being forced into a corner by these enemies of the people. If it is a civil war they want, they will get it in spades. Perhaps the best way to pull us back from the brink of this is to have a good public lynching.
Those that all those words seem very racist. All the words.
So
Seems
now,
were.
Like all the nouns and verbs and articles. Those are some pretty racist words. Yeah.
now mind you, this was posted February 17th, 2021. His resignation just came this past week.
That's what
That's
it
a
was like 4 days ago.
That's a whole year later. Where did that like? How did what happened? What happened with that?
So why do you think it took so long?
Because of everything that I just said in the past couple of seconds before we took that break.
Yeah, that's true.
The only
Golly.
difference, though, is that this wasn't geared towards people of color. It
No.
was geared towards the individuals who are supporting people of color. And
Right.
now that they got called niggers, now, they're even though we know their equivalent of that is cunt. But, that's why now action is being taken. Not
So,
necessarily because of the comment, because we have seen in many documented instances and transcriptions, that's the very culture of the conversations that happened on Capitol Hill.
ooh, okay. So this was the it was in a Facebook post.
Yes.
Mhm.
A Facebook post of
And that's
all
what I did.
things.
I just read you exactly verbatim
Yeah,
the
least.
content from his Facebook post.
Mm-hmm. It was about the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. My gosh, the way the the audacity, the caucasity of a statement like that, and the fact that he was able to remain in his seat for this long,
Until
A
April
whole
7th.
year.
Until April 7th, right. Over a year.
over a year. My God, I'm looking at it right now. What
There's
is it?
proof right there.
Oh
Like
my God.
And the sad part is these are traditional racist imagery, traditional racist comments, and you're the elections official. So, what does that say about your practices? What does that say about how you have interfered, or potentially, or not potentially, most likely,
Hmm.
how have you disenfranchised the people of the state of Virginia? Because we know that's how you feel.
Yeah, yeah. I think that this is a strange conversation. I had a conversation about what was it? Critical race theory has been brought up, especially when it comes to schools, and um, someone was telling me how you can't say that like things haven't gotten better. Like the racism has like we're not as racist as we were in Jim Crow, and I'm like, racism hasn't changed. I mean, it's not. It hasn't lessened. It's evolved. It's it hasn't like disappeared. It just changed its form. It's adapted. And what we see now is screw the adaptation. We're just gonna be upfront with it now, because that right there is so in your face. Like you can't deny that. And these
Yeah,
are people
and
that are in political positions that can affect constituents' lives. What do you mean? It's not as bad as it was before.
I would argue that it's worse.
Right.
And I would argue that it hasn't adapted, but it's evolved. And
Mm-hmm.
it continues to evolve.
and still
Yeah.
evolving.
It's still evolving.
Because it's a part of our systems. Y'all know me. It's part of our systems. It's a part of our
Mm-hmm.
institutions. It's a part of our structure. Even down to our educational system. It's
Yeah.
embedded in every sector of how we do. When the irony is, again, all of this hate and these things are projected against the very same people who have built the foundations of everything for this country.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
yet, it's okay for someone to publicly post this kind of rhetoric and remain in that position for well over a
A
year.
Over a
year.
year.
The fact that someone waited this long to ask for his removal.
So I wonder what triggered the remo- a year is a long time.
A
Over
year
A
is
very long time.
yeah.
so what I wonder what triggered that. Like who stepped up and said, "Yo, this isn't right." Like,
So either it had been brought up and someone's just kind of pushed it aside, or someone's been holding on to this little snippet for a minute, waiting to use it. Like that's I don't understand.
Politics is sneaky like that. Somebody probably was holding on to that thing until it fit their interest, and now that it meets their interest or their needs, they looped it right on in. Like, oh, but look at this. I mean, that's the name of the game.
Sometimes it
Unfortunately,
bees like that. Sometimes it bees like that, y'all. Good lord.
I don't know what happens.
Mm-mm.
So we're gonna change gears again.
Let's change
Y'all,
it.
Kyrian Franklin.
oh
Who's that?
Lord,
I'm sorry.
Kirk Franklin's son.
Kirk
Oh, Kirk Frank. Okay,
son.
okay. What'd he do?
So y'all know he got arrested.
Oh lord.
So you already know about the fight between him and his dad that happened.
The one
That
he
was
leaked,
yeah,
the
the
phone
whole
call that got
argument.
leaked that kicked
Yeah,
everything off. Uh huh.
yeah. And then he got called.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys watch Zeus Network, but there's a
Bad
show called
Boys Club.
Bad Boys Club.
Yes,
I get my life when I watch that show.
I get my life off of it too.
So, and so on that show he came out as well. He didn't come out, but they were kind of there was some heterosexual men who was on there picking at him, basically trying to figure out what side he was on. Was he straight or was he? He was just like, I'm me. I'm bisexual. You just or I'm poly. You can call me that. But
Mhm.
he got arrested the other day.
For
For
what?
what?
So he was in California, driving around and got pulled over, and he's been linked to a murder of a woman.
Oh wow.
And then there was a gun in the car with him. But the murder happened in Texas, so he's been extradited to Texas for this said murder of this
Jeez
lady.
Louise.
You know,
So the rumor is with that though, he was driving the lady's car.
Oh no. Ooh.
yeah, I don't.
Yikes. Oh.
I
It's
I I,
tricky.
I feel no. It's because I feel a lot of things for him, right? From watching him on Bad Boys and getting to see a different side of him other than what the media projected. Like, how could you do
Mhm.
this to your dad? People burning him out, blah blah blah. You got to kind of see some humanistic moments with him and how that pain and how all those things are still impacting him and affecting him. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I kind of was like, okay, I want to root for you a little bit, but on the same other hand, I don't know. People have this world has been crazy for people forever, right? And more so over these last couple of years. And I can only imagine, what you're dealing with being the child of a celebrity, having these things, and we all know the Christian folk is gonna hang you
Right.
and
Not
lynch
just any
you,
celebrity, but like a
Absolutely.
raising the full
yeah.
force. And so I can only imagine that some of that had to take a toll on him. But then
Mm-hmm.
to maybe like, it's a murder thing, that's huge. And I don't know how to, reconcile that because, you want to be like, well, maybe it's not that, but
So some of the comments that people are saying is, well, especially a lot of people are watching Bad Boys right now. So they're saying he looks like he's crazy. He looks like that's something he would do. Um, they were
Mm-hmm.
saying, he's a typical black man, and that's what black men do: murder people and run. Like
That's
some of the
that's
comments that I saw was like, what? Like,
that's some of the stuff that they were talking about Will Smith though. They were
mhm,
trying to apply the same logic with Will Smith. And we're talking about Will Smith who really hadn't done
anything.
anything in his career like that, as far as we know, ever. And so they're gonna talk like that about him over a slap, but this one right here, he already got issue with his dad, and then he's on a another TV show like this right here. This
But
one's
if
gonna
you
be.
watch that show, you would kind of see him in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a lot of vulnerable, like he cries a
He
lot on
has.
that show. Because the two straight men that's on there, the first thing they said was, "How did your daddy feel about you being bisexual? What does his dad have
Right.
to do with anything? Your dad is
That's
a famous guy. How does he feel about like?" And he said, "Oh, so you bring my dad into it," and that broke him down because he's like,
you already know, like me and things in my dad are strained. Why would you want to bring that up?
But I mean, I don't even think it was just the fact that they was a strain, because when you look at those things and you look at those contexts, he's trying to build himself.
Mm-hmm.
He
mm-hmm.
was trying to be who he wants to be. Because like even they was asking him like, well, what do you believe and how do you believe? And he was like, I'm not saying that I'm Christian, but I believe that there is a higher power. There's this, there's that. So they kept drawing these stark contrasts between what he should be because of who his dad is and who he's telling them that he is. And so, we all know, or at least we do, that identity and belonging are integral to your understanding. And it's going to affect your cognition, it affects your emotionality, it affects how you perceive the world and how the world perceives you.
Mm.
And in those interactions, like they just keep poking at him. They're constantly poking at him. And then, he finds comfort in another cast member that, is a little more feminine and more feminine identifying, but does not identify as female. And so, there's that whole dynamic. And, you could tell that there's a spark between them. And so, it's a very interesting take on what that is, especially when you look at it through the lens of somebody who is already kind of outcast because of that, and then coming into this thing, that platform further highlighting and putting him back into that place, like, oh yeah, remember you did this, and that's kind of how people are leading in with his interjection and who he is. And so it's a very interesting take on it. I will say that. But then to add like murder, that's you
Murder.
Yeah,
know,
murder. Like that show, if you guys are not watching it, you should watch it because you would actually see like there's a lot of people on there who were really big. Like Milan from Love and Hip Hop is on there. Um, and then the guy that DJ is talking about is Gutta K, and he's from Atlanta. And so that show actually brings out who's really for you and who's not. To be honest,
I gotta
it
find the show then. Hey.
and it
it's
did it immediately, and that was the part that kind of like taking me aback, because I'm like, the dynamic is interesting because the heterosexuals are the minority in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was already an interesting dynamic that they made it a point to kind of say, we're going to establish our heterosexuality. And you, if you're not on this team, we're going to ostracize you. You go over there and
no.
we're going to be over here because we're straight. And at every chance they get, it's like, yes, we're straight. And so it's like, well, if you're comfortable and content in your sexuality, what I'm doing has no impact on who you are and what you're doing. So why are you so concerned about who I am or what I'm doing or who I'm doing it with? If that's your thing, that's your thing. Like, your masculinity has nothing to do with me unless you're not secure in your masculinity.
And they even attacked him in that episode. The
Mm.
one
They did.
episode, they actually attacked him. Like
Sucker
it's
punch.
they like they yeah they sucker punched him, but he took it like a G. He took it,
They
but it's
did.
just I'm still trying to figure out why create that type of show.
Well, I mean, ultimately, Bad Girls Club was a very successful franchise, right? I
Yeah.
still watch Bad Girls Club reruns.
Yeah.
Shout out to Peacock because I can still watch them.
Hey.
But it was a very successful franchise, and for decades, people were asking, "What about guys?" And it never happened.
Here you go.
Now, what I like though, and what I do appreciate about it being on Zeus, it's uncensored.
Yep.
right? So we get all of that stuff in real time. You get all of the link. There's no bleeping it out.
Nothing.
There's no thing. If it's the F word, it's the F word. If you N
That's
word, you the N word. Like you're getting all of those things in real
do
time.
I gotta find another streaming site?
See,
Dang.
even that fight with the baby and Danny Lee's
Hmm.
Brother?
brother, that
Mm-hmm.
was on there because
Yeah,
the
it
Bad
happened.
Boys Club was actually having a party at that bowling alley where that fight happened at.
Right. It's been a lot. It has.
So
Good
it's
grief.
it's interest. That show is it's a really good show. It's interesting, but it's good. But to just keep putting Kieran on the pedestal and keep questioning his sexuality, like leave that man alone. Leave him alone. Yo, it's
Mm.
not your business. Who cares what he is, what he like, what he love, whatever. Who cares? But you can see that he has a little interest in guns.
And gotta.
Have yeah, you can see that. Who can't see that? But but he's in jail.
Yeesh.
He's in jail for a murder trial. They're trying to figure out if he did it because they're saying he did it.
Well,
Have they
staying on the stream. Oh, go ahead
yeah.
before I transition.
No, because I was asking, like, have they confirmed that it's the woman's car?
No, and they're still trying to figure out who gun that is because it was unregistered.
Oh God. Oh man. All right. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You can switch it up
No,
now.
so staying in the vein of entertainment,
Okay.
yo, Michael Jackson's outfit that he wore in the Bad video. Guess how much y'all think it's worth?
I'm
Couple
sure
million.
a couple million.
No, not the Bad outfit. The Thriller outfit is worth $1.8 million. But the
Okay.
outfit he wore in the Bad video,
Uh-huh. That's like the
uh,
black leather suit.
with the
Okay.
thick belt with the thing,
Mm-hmm.
according to legal documents from his estate, the outfit is valued at $271,875.
Really?
But the Thriller outfit,
The thriller.
one
Okay.
point, it's sold at an auction at Julian's auction for $1.8 million.
Oh,
Wow.
what?
Wow.
That's a huge difference.
Right.
But Thriller is iconic.
It is iconic, though. I
Not
understand.
that the Bad video is not. People know Thriller though. That whole Thriller changed the game for all music videos.
Well, that's
It,
true.
it when it first aired, you got to remember it was a full length feature film. Like they
Mm-hmm.
went
It
to the
was.
movies, they saw it play out. Thriller changed the game for what we know music videos. Well, good music videos
Yeah.
for what we knew them to be when they told an actual story.
Story. Mm-hmm. That's true. I just like when I think of like the bad outfit, like yes, bad, but also like that was the album cover too. That
Correct.
that had the album cover, so like I thought they would at least have a little bit more money in it, but
Right.
I guess whoever bought it wasn't thinking it was worth that much, but I can understand Thriller.
Wow. I,
Actually, I would have thought Thriller would have been more. To
But
be
they
quite,
also say, according to the records, that even selling those things, his estate continues to bring in an excess of $2 billion of revenue for his children, even now.
wow.
so people are still visiting his.
Well, they're
I thought it was
getting it
closed
together to
down.
They are. They're getting together the finances. They're selling things off. Things are being auctioned, putting things on the market, doing all of that. But what they're saying is, outside of everything that has already been liquidated, assets, everything they have out, they're still well over $2 billion
Wow.
worth of property,
Mm.
Wow.
which still shows that Mike was the greatest of all time.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, but like I just think like the residuals from the music alone
But
would
that's
be like
outside of that. We ain't even talking about
well
the
the
music
music
itself.
because like I think he owned his catalog by that point too.
Mike owned his catalog and the catalog of other artists, right? So
And the
like Eminem
Beatles.
and Eminem. So Mike was bad. When he said he
Hmm.
was bad, Mike was
He was
bad.
bad. Look, Paris Jackson's getting some money off every time you play a song from the Beatles.
Okay. But I just thought that was come like $1.8 million for the Thriller outfit.
Ooh, you're not gonna be able to wear it. Nothing. Mm-mm. You gotta hang that up. I can't imagine. I can't imagine spending that kind of money. I can't imagine having that kind of money. Number one, it's been spending that much money on something like I couldn't really use. I, I'm sure someone in LLC Twitter is talking about, well, that's an investment. Investment for what though? Like, what can I do with it later? Like, what could I invest? Like, what could I do with that? Like, I could hang it up on my wall and hope that my kids don't touch it. I don't know, but I can't imagine spending that kind of money on that.
I mean,
I
people
mean,
do though.
But they
people
do.
do, and we know what type of people have the money to do that, unfortunately.
Mm.
So we
See, he
know
mad
exactly what it's
too.
at. You know, we know
Little
exactly
man's
where
mad
it's at.
too. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
So let's one last one. Let's stick to the entertainment side.
Okay.
So do y'all know who YK Osiris is?
Look, I'm so behind. You gotta tell me who that is.
So he's a well, he's still kind of up and coming. I think he's from like Alabama or Mississippi or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't he's trying to do what he can to kind of get his music out. Now, if you haven't heard any of his music, he do have some pretty cool songs. So y'all heard about the what is his name? Tyrese Simpson, the guy, the teenager who fell from the
Yeah.
right. And then you heard about the girl who supposedly pretended to be his cousin and
Cousin.
collected the money
Oh,
the
yeah.
site and was on the newscast crying and stuff as if she was family, and the family came out and said, I don't know who you
We
are.
don't know her.
Well, YK Osiris came out and said, I paid for his funeral. And the family was like, we don't know.
We don't know this man. Hey.
So he's in the light right now because he lied about that.
Yeah, Lee.
You know, I done got enough aligned celebrities. I mean, seriously, like we got Jesse doing his thing, and now he's taking us to write a whole song talking about that he innocent.
No, stop it, Betty.
But anyway, you know, I think
He
enough
could
is enough.
he
You
could have
know,
faded into the background and not like after this. He could have really faded into the background and not said another word, and he would have been okay.
but I mean, enough is enough. Like, I cannot imagine. Number one, I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child,
Mm-mm.
and you know, I'm prayerful that when I do have kids, that won't be my experience.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, to have it done and to have it broadcast around the world, I'm sure is not helping the matter. And then to constantly have all of these people constantly interjecting themselves so that
Trying to
you're
get clout
constantly coming
money.
and you can't even cope and grieve because you have to keep continually facing the same thing over and over again. Like, when is enough enough?
I was, especially with the girl, I was confused on how she
How?
was even able to stand there. Like she said, he called me. He told me they wouldn't let him ride certain rides. He called me and told
Mhm.
me, "Oh, they let me ride this ride," and she was excited for him. Then I had to clean up his blood, and then she's out there collecting money.
Right.
He was
Like,
nowhere near related to this boy.
how heartless do you have to be to
Heartless.
to get money and clout off of someone else's death like that? Some
Heartless.
you don't even know. That I can't imagine. Like ugh.
I mean, but that's just like, that makes me think about Mamie Till, right? And how they all this whole kick about the I can't think of her name, but the white woman who did it. We know that she did it, and now they trying to get her, but trying to say, oh, well, she's too old to go to prison. No, time served. Let justice be done. Do you not understand what they did to that boy, where he could have been the potentiality that was taken away from him, and the pain and suffering that his mother and the entire black community and the world suffered as a result of that?
Right. The
And,
lie, the
because of
biggest
a
lie.
lie, a simple lie. This enough is enough, and I think that's where I am with all of these things. Like, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. All right, one more celebrity thing. One more celebrity thing, but I'm on. We're gonna end on a lighter note,
I
slightly
got,
lighter.
I
Okay.
got something like.
Okay.
Did y'all hear that Idris Elba opened up and said he sold weed to support his acting career in the early days?
Shout out to him. Hustle.
Because he was talking about like odd jobs that he had to take. Um, and here's the kicker: he said Dave Chappelle was one of his customers in the early days.
Hey.
I I can believe it.
I can too.
I ain't mad at him. You know
I
what?
can believe it.
You know what? Can you be mad at the hustle? I can't.
I mean, we when we think about it, you know, especially when it comes to acting and acting in Hollywood, for people of color, it is not an easy task. It's not. It's not an easy task. And so I can't imagine, some of the things, and he talked about some of those things that you have to do to try to sustain yourself to pursue your dream. Like, you got to get headshots, you got to keep going on audition, and it costs money to do that. So, you know,
Hmm.
I just thought it was cool that I read across the thing. I'm like, it would be Dave Chappelle too.
uh, okay. Last one, and then we can call it a night. Okay, so Chloe and Hallie, particularly Chloe. Don't do me like that, Artie. Don't do me like that. Just released the music video for her latest song, "Treat Me," and I've only seen little clips of it. But what are your thoughts? Have y'all seen anything? Have y'all seen?
I have not. I can't chime in.
Her watching her now compared to how she was. Well, I ain't only watching her now with this song compared to how she was before this. It's cringy. It
I
is
can I
so
can understand
cringy
that. I can understand that. I
because
can.
now it's all because she went through this little phase where she was like very depressed and
Hmm.
she wasn't okay with her body and the way that it was changing, and now she don't want to wear no clothes.
She
But do you
she.
think that's her, or do you think that that's the people petition her to do that?
I don't think that's her. I
Right,
don't.
Uh, I
right. But
think it's a
that's my
mixture.
point. But
I
I
think
think
it's a
that's the
mixture.
point, and I think
Cause
it's. Oh,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
want to keep doing this, but
So
I
yeah,
think it's part of the hypersexualization and objectification of Black women, especially in the media and the entertainment industry. Right? When you
yeah,
think about it, when you could think, if you think about right now, some of the more vibrant or more long lasting, whatever type of female artists, you don't think about the ones that are clothed, that don't gyrate, that don't dance, right? We think about Beyonce, we think about Janet, we think about Diana Ross, we think about uh I could keep go on and on. But the
Yeah.
point is, we think about those women that have been forced to go into that role in some way, shape, form, or fashion
hmm,
to stay relevant and to be pushed to the top. But if you compare them to somebody like a Tamia, right, where it's voice, it's that you never seen her do any of those things. And her voice is 1,000 times better than them, but she won't receive that same recognition because of what's being back behind her and the
hmm,
choices that she's made or the choices that her team has made for her.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it's just like mulatto. Y'all know who mulatto is? The
yeah,
Hmm.
she's always naked too,
yeah.
and she cussed better than the rest of us. Like, ooh, like, girl, how old are you?
Oh
But
man.
Chloe, it's so cringy. Like, it's like, girl, pipe down a little bit.
Also, I also think it's also part of your 20s. She's in her early 20s,
Hmm.
and like like I got married in my early 20s. I didn't get a chance to really wild out like that. I don't know if I would. My personality, I wouldn't have been. I wouldn't be wilding out like that. But it, it would have been things would have been different if I had the freedom of living my 20s like you want to. I don't know. It just
Her sister is real relaxed, but her sister is supposedly dating DDG.
supposedly Hallie's the thug. That's what I've heard. Like it's like Chloe is really the technically the more reserved one. She's
Hmm.
the quirky one, and Hallie's the thug. That's what I've heard.
Well,
Hmm.
she stay on this track with DDG, she gonna be like Chloe.
Ooh Lord.
You know, DDG, I don't know if you know, DDG dated Ruby Rose. And Ruby
Mm,
Rose is always naked. He changed her
Hmm.
like that. And
mm,
Correct.
so, yeah, you keep dating him, you go.
But that's my point, though. Like, why is it that Black women in particular in the thing they have to fit into that image to be relevant,
right.
right? They can't just it can't just be enough that she's talented.
Right.
It can't just be enough that I can sing and I have a voice and I've done these things and I've sang on Lion King. I've done all of these things that have established me enough as it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's not enough. Now it has to be that sexual component, that sexual fantasy on top of it because of how the music industry and the media is set up, and particularly for Black women. Because again, when you contrast that with their white counterparts, they don't have to do the same things to be relevant.
They don't have to have this decent voice to be relevant.
They can roll out the bed and look like me and have
Whisper. They
a
can
top
whisper
10
sing.
hit within the next 2 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody will be supporting them, wearing the t-shirts and doing the things. But for Black women, especially younger Black women, and I love that there is the following for them, but I hate how it comes about because it always comes at them changing who they are. It always comes at them changing the core of who they are going to be. And then that influence stretches out into other people. And then we have a generation of women that question themselves or have body dysmorphic issues because they don't look like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or they starve themselves or harm themselves to look like that.
And it's just like you see Megan Thee Stallion has scaled back.
Well, but the thing with her too that I appreciate and I applaud is despite all of that, she got that degree.
And did.
Yeah, indeed.
Because she understands I can't do this forever. This
No.
isn't going to last forever. And there has to be something to fall back on. I love the fact that she does not negate her intelligence.
Yeah.
I love the
She
fact that
I
she
love that
stood
she plans
firm.
to use that degree too. That's what I
Yeah,
love
she
too.
She
does.
does.
She plans to use that degree.
She does. She worked
And
hard
that's
for that.
but that's important for people to see that we get the aspiration that that's what you do and you get there and you make it,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not it at all. You got to have something to fall back on. And the
Mm-hmm.
reality is the people that produce, the people that do the things, that do the business side of it, those are the people making the money, not the artists.
Mm.
True.
Yeah. Okay, y'all.
Woo.
We try to end it lightly, but we tried. Um, so let's go ahead and take us out.
DJ know that spiel, honey.
Right?
I'm like, I'm like, well, normally this will be the part where we give our final thoughts. Y'all got any closing? Yeah, let's do that. Any closing, parting thoughts, words?
um, protect Black women. There you go. Yeah, protect Black women.
I guess in the event that we did say what all night, I guess I could say that everything is not always serious. You can have fun every now and then and still get your point across.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Absolutely.
And I just want to add, we need to wake up. There's too many things, and when I say we, I mean us as a people, particularly Black people, African American people, people of the African diaspora, however it is that you choose to identify in that spectrum of that realm. I am speaking to you. We have to wake up. There are too many things still happening to us, even in 2022, and we almost halfway through. No, we are through the first quarter of this year, and there are still things happening to us at every turn. Let's be objective. Let's be dark. Let's not lose sight of what's going on. Let's not do that.
All right.
Let's stay posted.
So, thank you for joining us for tonight's episode of No Clue. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe. Make sure you get the alert button so you know every time an episode is about to air. You can find us on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Join the Facebook group, like the Facebook page. Find us on Instagram at No Clue the show. And then if you have any feedback for the show, make sure you email us at nocluetheshow@gmail.com. We'll respond back and take your feedback. We love to hear from folks. So thank you so much. So what's the catchphrase? I be working behind this.
Well,
I work behind the scenes.
before we get there, let's remember, y'all remember, we are every 2 weeks. We're no longer every week for the time being. So we will see y'all in two
2 weeks.
2 weeks from today.
And
All right.
DJ's hosting.
I got something good for y'all. I kind of touched on some things, but y'all come on, y'all stick in. Y'all gonna want to hear this. I think we're gonna have a
Mm-hmm.
blast. We always have a blast. As usual, shout out and love to our counterparts who couldn't be here with us on this evening. Doc and Shavea, feel better. We love y'all. Sending y'all positive love and light. And y'all, you know what to do. We love to hear from y'all. Please, please, please let us know some things. Give us feedback. Tell us what y'all want to see. Tell us what y'all want to hear. Chime in with us. Also, remember the show does re-air, so catch those things, get caught up. Let us know how y'all feel. Check on the YouTube channel. Every episode from our foundation is there. Check us out if you have not done so. Build the following. See some of the things we talked about. Get to know us a little bit better as we get to know y'all. All right. So, with that being said, we're gonna close it out. And as always, just when you thought you had life figured out, you realize you got what?
No
No
clue. Unless you find us on Christian
clue.
Mingle.
All right, y'all. Peace, love. Good night.
Good night.